The wind ripped the roof off his house and continued to spread across his neighbor's yard. Highway 182 is closed until further notice. And if you take a closer look, you can actually see the gap in between the bridge. When was the last time that you updated your phone? What about your iPad? Apple executives warn no matter how recent, it's probably time to do it again. Our Abby Breidenbach joins us live. A TikTok a day to keep COVID away. It's a slogan coined by Dr. Brittany Hebert through her videos. These days, Facebook and other platforms are not only key ways of communication, they're also important for doing business. We're not out of the danger zone yet because things could change in a matter of minutes. But what is some information you want to get out to the parish? It's been all cleared up, but if you take a closer look, you can still see some red paint. Jim, several dozen are gathering in front of the Opelousas Police Department, united in prayer. The Karen Crowe Police Department's administrative office will be temporarily closed because of a COVID-19 outbreak. They were making their way here to Ochsner Lafayette General. And just 25 minutes into their trip, they had to make a pit stop here on Lafayette Road. Law enforcement throughout Lafayette Parish are gathering here at the MLK Center to help bridge the gap between the community. The bodies of two missing Acadiana men were recovered from the Toledo Bend Lake this morning. They're calling for a pass-fail grading system, citing challenges with virtual learning. Now to a developing story. A Zydeco musician is in the hospital after reportedly being shot at the Louisiana Mud Fest on Friday. While other parts of Karen Crowe are starting to see the water drain, some residents are starting to see the water rise from other parts of the area. Thank you for joining us. I'm Eman Boyd. We start off with new developments in a murder trial for two brothers in Lafayette. According to the advocate, the jury returned a guilty, not guilty verdict for the murder of Lafayette boxer Brandon Broussard. Chavez Toby was found guilty on second-degree murder and guilty of conspiracy to commit second-degree murder. His brother Carlos Toby was found not guilty of second-degree murder, but guilty of conspiracy to commit second-degree murder. Chavez is sentenced to a mandatory life sentence, while the sentencing for Carlos will be at a later date. And new information on a story we brought you earlier this week. Authorities say 19-year-old Morris Williams of Jeff Davis Parish is now found and safe. State police sent out a silver alert for Williams after he went missing Wednesday morning. And now to our coronavirus headlines. The Karen Crowe Police Department's administrative office will be temporarily closed because of a COVID-19 outbreak. Offices will be closed from July 6th until July 9th. Residents who need to do business at the police department can do so on their website at KarenCrowePD.com. Anyone needing immediate help should call 911. Despite the setbacks of the pandemic in 2020, the New Orleans Book Festival will go on this year. Officials say over 100 national, regional, and local writers will participate, along with panel discussions, workshops, and book fairs. The festival will be held on Tulane's campus October 21st through the 23rd. And the residents of Welsh are rebounding from the pandemic by celebrating their town. They gathered downtown for a celebration festival, which included a barbecue cook-off, live music, and more. And as Victor Georges reports, residents say having the celebration again is a sign of things getting back to normal. A local record label is giving back to those most in need. 83 Flight Gang hosted a two-day mobile charity event for homeless communities in New Iberia and Lafayette. The group's mission is to bring hope for the homeless by giving away free food, support, and prayers. In Evangeline Parish, instead of Christmas in July, it's Mardi Gras of July. The town of Mamou is hosting a three-day celebration of independence, Cajun culture, and the end of COVID-19 restrictions. This free event is being held at the Kazan Center in partnership with Fred's Lounge and Ted's Lounge. Guests are encouraged to come in their best Mardi Gras costumes. And turning to national news, search and rescue efforts in Surfside, Florida were paused today to prepare for the demolition of the South Tower. The need to bring down the unstable structure grows more urgent as tropical force winds approach southern Florida. Here's ABC's Kristen Salone with details. And coming up on KATC, we're learning more about a potential scam leading to a rental car shortage. That story coming up at 10:22. Growing up in Shreveport was tough on Fate Winslow.
We didn't have no parks back then. We didn't have no recreation, you know. When y'all get out of school, ain't nowhere to go, nothing to do. So before you know it, you going the wrong direction or going down the wrong road.
It led up to a run-in with an undercover police officer in 2008 that would change Winslow's life forever. According to Winslow's attorney, the officer approached Winslow asking for girls. Instead of getting him a sex worker, Winslow offered him drugs. At the time, Winslow was homeless and borrowed a friend's bike, coming back 10 minutes later with 2 small bags of marijuana worth $20. He was arrested and with 3 prior felony convictions: a burglary of a business in 1985, a car burglary 10 years later, and possession of cocaine when he was 36. The $20 sale landed Winslow a life sentence at the age of 41.
You say, well, I'm going to enhance your sentence for charges that already been used. I mean, I done went to jail for this charge. I done paid my parole for this charge. But then you're going to come back and use that same one against me and enhance my sentence? You pay all that parole money, pay all the fees and everything, then they come back and use it again? You're paying for the same thing twice.
Under the revised statute, a person who commits more than 1 felony can have their sentencing enhanced if more felonies are committed. Because the law counts non-violent convictions as felonies, several people serve life sentences for non-violent offenses.
In less than 90 days, took me to trial, picked a jury, found me guilty. 10 whites found me guilty, 2 blacks did.
And you spent 12 years.
12 years. No money, no justice.
He's doing a life sentence for marijuana, and he had no violence in his past. I could not imagine how it is that we feel comfortable and feel okay with sentencing someone to die in Angola when they haven't done any violent acts in their past.
G. Park, Winslow's attorney and executive director of the Innocence Project New Orleans, says it took her team nearly 3 years to have Winslow's case brought back into court to prove he had an unfair trial. Park says the habitual offender law needs to be revised.
You know, I think probably the original intent was supposed to get to the dangerous people, right? But there are many, many crimes that are identified as felonies that are not violent. And so because it cast such a wide net, it ended up catching so many people who should never have been caught in that net.
Winslow was released from Angola in December 2020. His case is one of several in the state.
There's a real racial aspect to the sentences that we see and who gets the most severe sentences in Louisiana. And so when you look at the people who are sentenced to life in Louisiana and Angola, you will see that 90% of those men and women in prison are black men and women.
After you have time to sit down and just start, seeing things and understanding things, and you see, man, ain't no justice. If it hadn't been for Miss G, the Innocence Project out of New Orleans, I was gonna sit there until, eventually. That's what it's designed for.
It's only gonna get the big pieces. The levee held, but there was water coming up on the levee. So, I mean, we were just really nervous.
For New Orleans native Maurice Williams, he was concerned about flooding in his neighborhood. But the problem didn't come from below. His ceiling caved in from above, the casualty of powerful hurricane winds.
I was very concerned, so that's why I stayed by my neighbors, because I didn't really trust, the house. And we didn't know how high it was gonna get, because we had a radio on. We was trying to follow the storm. And they kept saying the wind was gonna pick up, and we didn't know if it was gonna be a 3 or 4 when it came through here. So really, I was just real nervous and quiet, just being still, praying.
It's a fear way too reminiscent of Hurricane Katrina. Williams was 15 years old when he evacuated for the storm in 2005.
The whole time we were listening on the radio, we heard that the levees were gonna hold, and they did hold. But the levees broke somewhere else. When we heard that, we really got nervous.
Even though Williams suffered damage here at his home in New Orleans, he's never considered moving out of the city. He says it's that resiliency that defines this region.
We were raised in this, so we used to hurricanes coming through, even flooding. So all we're gonna do is just pick up and party when Mardi Gras come around.
His is a sentiment plenty people feel around here. When asked why they stay, knowing another storm could put them in danger, they say this is their home and leaving isn't something many consider. In New Orleans, Eman Boyd, KATC TV3.
It was so nice to get to know her on a more personal level because all the cast members got to ask her a question that would be from her childhood, and it was amazing because her answers were just on point.
LJ Alamos student Zoriel Tapo says it was a dream come true to meet and interview the vice president.
Are you guys ready to go there?
Yes.
Come on, let's go.
The special Get Curious with Vice President Kamala Harris features Tapo and other children visiting the Naval Observatory where the vice president lives. The team then took part in a scavenger hunt with clues given by NASA astronaut Shane Kimbrough.
We would get some clues from a different person from around the world, and they would tell us something like, go by the fountain with the H2O, and we would look around the fountain for a hint, and then that would lead to another one. Well, I wouldn't tell you where the scavenger hunt ends because that would be telling you stuff, so that's all I'm telling you.
Although she couldn't spill all the secrets about the show, Tapo guarantees it's a production the whole family can enjoy.
Kids and adults, I guarantee that you will love it, but they will learn much more about space, and hopefully they stay curious and ask a lot of questions.